Hello, I'm Nick Mitchell and I'm an environmentalist, and I'm stood next to something right here, something very special and something many locals know very little about. It's the River Stour, also known as the Kentish Stour. This is the second longest river in Kent. It originates as the Great Stour in Lenham and flows towards and through Canterbury and then on to enter the North Sea at Pegwell Bay. This river is 40 miles long, and I grew up in Minster, and that's where I am now. And I know this river and marsh really well, and I've been coming here since a child. So how do rivers work? Rivers usually begin in upland areas when rain falls on high ground and begins to flow downhill. This river is also fed from something known as an aquifer. It's underground where water works its way up through fractures known as a spring. Rivers mostly flow downhill because of gravity. This river starts in Lenham, 75 metres above sea level. The beginning of the river is known as the source. But this section of river here in Minster is actually tidal because it's so close to the sea. It's affected by the daily rise and fall of sea levels, which are driven by the moon. It then flows and bends around objects such as hills. This is known as meandering. See behind me, it meanders around. The river has a channel with banks on both sides, a bed and a floodplain where the river expands when it floods, and I'm walking on the floodplain now. Rivers flow until they reach another body of water, in this case what's known as a river mouth, where it meets the North Sea at Pegwell Bay. So what are the benefits of rivers? Rivers provide important benefits called ecosystem services. They impact our day-to-day lives. They provide drinking water, irrigation, that's water for growing crops, transportation, so we take boats up and down, leisure activities, vital habitat for fish and lots of other wildlife. The lower lying parts of the river are particularly prone to flooding, and this is very important. These marshes store water, and by doing so they help to reduce flooding in places, and they also prevent drought by storing water in the dry summers. And beavers are particularly good at creating this habitat. Beavers have been here falling this tree and nibbling on this bark. The marsh also helps to lower the temperature in the area. Healthy wetlands store carbon and slow the flow of water, cleaning it naturally, and by reducing flooding risks downstream, so in this case Sandwich. They support an abundance of plant life, which in turn provide perfect shelter, nurseries and breeding grounds for wildlife. Reducing flooding and drought are increasingly important due to the climate breakdown. We are experiencing more extreme weather events, and also with the rising sea levels, this is an area that we are already seeing being affected first. Like many rivers in the UK, they're steeped in history, and the Stour was no exception. Now, some 5,000 years ago, Thanet was separated from mainland Britain by 600 metres of sea, and in places that was 2 miles wide. It was the Wantsum Channel. The channel was protected by Roman-built Richborough Castle at one end and Reculver Fort at the other. In Roman and medieval times, the river was an important highway connecting Canterbury with the continent. Over the last 1,000 years, the channel has become silted up by the River Stour, and the channel has disappeared. And it's joined Thanet back to Kent, but we still call it the Isle of Thanet to this day. The amount of wildlife out on these marshes is simply incredible. There's so much. We have some rare birds such as marsh harriers, nightingale, turtle dove, and various breeds of owl, and they're all breeding here. We have water voles, hares, foxes, snakes, lizard. The list goes on. This tree behind me has been getting chewed up by a beaver, and one of my favourite creatures. It's the UK's largest rodent. They have been extinct for 400 years and now they're back. They are incredibly important ecosystem engineers. They create wetland habitat, helping to increase biodiversity, slow the flow of water, capture carbon, clean the water, reduce flooding, reduce drought, and they encourage the growth of trees by carrying out a process known as coppicing, which is what's been happening right here. They do it mostly on willow trees like this. Our marshes and the River Stour are very special places, and I always like to encourage everybody, especially you watching this film, to visit sometime. There's many footpaths around here in the area for nice, long, enjoyable walks, and there's also boat trips operating from Grove Ferry and Sandwich Quay. At the very least, head down here for a nice picnic and take in the surroundings and feel its beauty. But do it on a nice, calm, sunny day like this. These marshes are a harsh environment in the winter, and especially during heavy winds and rain, and I've been caught out many times. Thanks for watching. There is something important I would like to add to the end of this film. Unfortunately, the marshes are under very serious threat, not just from big companies dumping sewage into the area for years, but also from giant developments. We have big areas that may become covered in solar panels, and also a giant converter station electrical intake that National Grid wants to build. We're talking 100 feet high building. Slowly but surely, these beautiful landscapes are getting industrialised. And it is down to us to protect this place and its wildlife. So if you can, head to minstermarshes.com and find out more and see what you can do to help. And also check out Kent Wildlife Trust's Rethink Sea Link. We live in challenging times. It's extremely important to be someone proud and to protect our environment. Threats will always come and go, and that will always be the way. Be the kind of person that tries to protect our environment. There are many people out there like myself that are trying to protect it, and we don't do it for us, we do it for everyone, and we do it for you. So, thanks ever so much for watching. Get wild.